Now I want to show you an example of the invincible contract between the palace and the UK tabloid press. Now something happened today whereby the Times, owned by Rupert Murdoch, an article was written that Liz Truss orders King Charles to stay away from Copenhagen 27th Climate Summit. And my family, in this article, it was changed to Liz Truss advised King Charles to stay away from COP27 Climate Summit. Charles had intended to deliver a speech. Apparently, it seems like the palace was so hurt by the UK press saying that he had been ordered by the Prime Minister to stay away from the climate summit, and instead the palace reacted to the story by saying this: the advice had been sought by the king and given by Miss Truss, the Prime Minister of the UK. It was responding to a story in the Sunday Times which claimed Prime Minister Liz Truss had ordered the king not to attend. And all in all, we all know that, obviously, like, who can order the king to do something? And because of that, the palace just had to seek a change in this article from the king being ordered by the Prime Minister Liz Truss to the king advised by Liz Truss to stay away from COP27 Climate Summit. My family, why am I showing this to you today? I am showing this to you today because I want people to know that the palace indeed can get the UK press to change the articles that they write if, and I say if, the palace wants to. And the UK tabloid press will do exactly as they are told by the palace. And that's just a fact, my family. That is a fact. And people on Twitter, like someone called Royal Sweeter, that's the Twitter handle of someone, a very, very good, supporter of Prince Harry and Meghan. She said this, and I quote on Twitter: in another bit of sleight of hand between the palace and the press, the headline has been changed from Liz Truss orders King Charles to she advised King Charles to stay away from COP27. How quick did that call go out? Hashtag Invincible contract. Hashtag Invincible contract. Which brings me to what someone said a while back on Twitter, that whatever happened to Meghan was exactly what the palace wanted to happen to her. All those insults on the front pages, all those defamatory articles on the UK press front pages from the Daily Mail, in which Prince Charles, now King Charles, hired the deputy editor of the Mail, is crystal clear that every bit of insult, lie, the stories full of lies about Harry and Meghan, the falsehoods, as Meghan put it in the Oprah interview, all the falsehoods against both Harry and Meghan were indeed coming from within the royal family. It's a big shame that when Harry repeated and Meghan repeated what even the so-called carnival of so-called experts like Dan Wootton had also said, that indeed the stories, the leaks against Harry and Meghan are coming from within the palace, within the royal family, as Dan Wootton himself put it all back. Only for when Harry and Meghan to repeat it, Dan Wootton called Harry and Meghan liars, and so did the rest of the UK tabloid press. And no one does hypocrisy more than the UK tabloid press. And seeing this, the power of the palace, it's crystal clear what this palace is fully capable of. The power that it wields, the power that the palace wields to tell the UK press to even change the articles that they write. They have that power. It's a shame that they did absolutely nothing to protect Meghan. No wonder Meghan said that the one mistake that I made was thinking or believing them when they told me that they would protect me. I shall not make that same mistake again. Meghan said that in the Oprah interview. And my family, what you see right here with how these articles have changed, it tells you of the power of the palace. It shows you the invincible contract between the palace and the press. Also, I would like to add that King Charles is no one to speak about climate change. Never forget that apparently it has been reported that the late Queen Elizabeth II secretly lobbied Scottish ministers for climate law exemption. And my family, the monarch, the late monarch, used security procedures to become the only person in the country, in Scotland, not bound by a green energy rule. And the late Queen Elizabeth's lawyers secretly lobbied Scottish ministers to change a draft law to exempt her, the crown, the Queen Elizabeth II, the late Queen Elizabeth II's land, private land, from a major initiative to cut carbon emissions. Documents can also be able to reveal that that is what happened. And the exemption means that now, after the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles is now one of the largest landowners in Scotland, is the only person in the country not required to facilitate the construction of pipelines to heat buildings using renewable energy. And my family, will King Charles change that? Will he remove or even lobby the parliament in Scotland to remove, now that he is the monarch, as being the only one in the country that has secured a climate law exemption? The only one whose private land are exempted from major initiatives meant to curb carbon emissions. Will Charles remove that law, that exemption that the late Queen Elizabeth II's lawyers managed to get? Will he? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. And that's why I believe that Charles is not the right person to ever discuss anything having to do with climate change. My family, I want to hear your opinion about the Invincible contract. Now, let me read a couple of comments from people discussing this issue. Now, someone said this, that Twitter does not have an edit button just yet, but the time somehow does. The paper that has changed this headline from Liz Truss orders King Charles to stay away from COP27 climate summit to Liz Truss advised King Charles to stay away from COP27 climate summit. I call it the power of the palace. I call it the power of the palace. Now, someone said this, so they do have connections and ways to control the headlines. They just wanted Meghan and Harry to suffer. And someone, in response to this tweet, said this: they helped the media So why would they stop them? In response to an article from also the Times saying this, the sense of embattlement has been entrenched by William's decision to reach out to senior figures in the media as he prepares for kingship, and by the apparent decision of those same newspapers to side with the palace over Meghan and Harry by peddling the most negative coverage of Meghan's relationship with her father, Thomas Markle. Harry sees that as part of the headwinds against him. Our friend said this. An extract from an article on the Sunday Times from April 21st, 2019. The palace collaborated with the media in the abuse of Meghan. Prince Harry knows who the main beneficiaries of this smear campaign are. The people who reached out to the same tabloids bullying Prince Harry and Meghan. That is exactly what the likes of William did to Prince Harry and Meghan. He reached out to the same tabloids bullying Prince Harry and Meghan. Never forget that Prince William and Kate Middleton are the main beneficiaries of the smear campaign against Prince Harry and Meghan. Never ever forget that. Someone said that, oh yeah, so they are capable of changing unflattering headlines. Yes, indeed, the palace is fully capable of doing just that. Now, someone else said this, that the so-called invisible contract is so visible when it comes to the rest of the dysfunctional royal family. Someone said that. Someone said that, I so hope the UN will ask Harry to speak. And by the way, what would happen if Charles would go and speak? To which someone replied as saying this, that nothing is going to happen. My family, I want to hear your opinion about the royal family's invincible contract. I want to hear your opinion about all of it. Someone called Emily said that that is the meaning of apolitical. Follow the orders of the politicians. To think climate change is not about politics. It is a way politicians handle it. So it does look like political. Scoring points during elections. Someone called Emily said that. The pullback was swift. Charles III must have an entire staff devoted to scanning the British media for any implied insult or slight to the thin-skinned king. And that's a fact. I've always said this. The people who smear Prince Harry and Meghan will never be able to handle a remote fraction of that which they dish out to Prince Harry and Meghan. And that's a fact. None of them can ever be able to handle it. None of them will ever handle what they dish out to Prince Harry and Meghan. My family, I want to hear your opinion about all of this, my family, and may God bless each and every single one of you. And stay tuned to our next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support our ever-growing family on YouTube. In my opinion, I don't believe Charles to be someone who should ever speak about anything having to do with climate change. He isn't the person. We've also seen that the palace can get the media to change the headlines that it writes. It can. It just chooses to do nothing but encourage the UK press to keep going after Prince Harry and Meghan. And I like exposing these kinds of stories, these kinds of articles, because I believe that more people should see how unprotected both Harry and Meghan were at the hands of the royal cult that calls itself a family. Everybody must be able to see it. However, the relentless attacks on Harry, Meghan, and even their kids, the palace don't do a single thing to stop that. When Meghan was pregnant with Archie, the palace never did anything to protect Meghan, pregnant Meghan, remember. They never did anything, and that is something that pains my heart to just even think about it. It pained my heart, my family. And with that, and so much more. Stay tuned to our next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support our ever-growing family on YouTube. And my family, there's something also that I want you to hear. A clip from the then, before he was Prime Minister, before she was Prime Minister, sorry, before Liz Truss was even the Prime Minister in the UK, there's something that Liz Truss said about the royal family, which I want you to hear yourself, my family. I think it's so important for everybody to see and even hear what Liz Truss said. And this is it.
Be the head of state of our country. I think I'm not against any of them personally. I'm against the idea that people can be born to rule. That people, because of the family they're born into, should be able to be the head of state of our country. I think that's disgraceful.
I'm against the idea that people can be born to rule. I'm against the idea that people can be born to rule. Let me repeat that once again for every single person who may not have heard.
Any of them personally, I'm against the idea that people can be born to rule. That people, because of the family they're born into, should be able to be the head of state of our country. I think that's disgraceful.
That people, because of the family they are born into, can become the head of state. I think that is disgraceful. That clip is from 1994, from Liz Truss herself, who is now the Prime Minister in the UK. The idea of the monarchy is disgraceful. That is what she said, my family. And to be quite frank with you, I agree with what she said 100%. It's high time that the people abolish the monarchy. It is high time. Now, my family, someone said that I think she's secretly anti-monarchy. Someone says of Liz Truss, see how she tells King Charles III to stay away from COP27. Clearly, it must have hurt Charles' feelings to be told by the Prime Minister to stay away from COP27. Family, either way, I still hope that indeed the time comes for this monarchy to be abolished. Why? Because of its cruelty. Why? Because of their deeds. Not because of, you have something personal against them individually. Because of their deeds, because of their actions throughout history. Those actions, they continue to this day. It's time the monarchy is abolished. The mistreatment of the first biracial black woman to marry into the royal family, their actions towards Meghan, those are the reasons why the monarchy should be abolished. The UK is in crisis, yet the funding to the monarchy keeps on increasing practically every year. That is why they should be abolished, and there are many, many reasons because of that. My family, I want to hear your opinion about even what the Prime Minister, Liz Truss, said in 1984, before she even became the Prime Minister of the UK, what she said about, a monarchy, about someone who is unelected becoming the head of state just because they were born into it. My family, that idea is just, the idea of the monarchy is disgraceful. I want to hear your opinion about all of this, and with that and so much more, stay tuned to our next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support our ever-growing family on YouTube. We love you always and forever. Tell us what you think about the Invinsible contract. I want to hear your opinion, and we love you, my family, always and forever. Stay tuned to our next video. Hello, members of Zesco Family TV. First of all, I want to say thank you for all your support that you give us to our channel. We don't take it for granted that you support this channel. I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for lending out your support and fighting against injustices, supporting Prince Harry and Meghan, showing them love. Love will always triumph over evil, and for that I say thank you. Good will always prevail over bad. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for joining this community, this amazing community of Zesco Family TV. I love you so much, family, from the bottom of my heart, and I wish you all the best. May you have a great day, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned a lot of things. With that and so much more, stay tuned to our next video. Leave a comment below, like, and subscribe. Love you, family, always and forever. Sayonara.